This week's chapter was all about assessment and how to build assessment into your lesson plans and that fun stuff, your lessons. And first, let's talk about the purpose of assessment, which is to modify programs, promote growth, because you want to grow as a teacher, don't you? Want to know if your stuff worked, because if it doesn't work, then why keep using it? Recognize accomplishments. If a kid's gone from point B to point A as they've moved up the spectrum, like they've learned something, that's always good, but tests don't always show that. And improving instruction, that goes back to making sure that what you're teaching actually works. So rubrics are often something that's used when it comes to assessing students, and with rubrics, you want to make sure that everything is very specific, like the students have specific target goals that they need to reach in order to get 1, 2, or 3, or 4. It's always fun to come up with like little creative names for that, instead of just being 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's always good to like have rubrics ready for the students when you have them starting a project or some kind of assessment that you're giving them. That way they know if they want to get a 3, then they need to do X, Y, and Z. But if they do more than that, this is what they like the extra that they need to do in order to get the 4. So that way it's very visible to them, and they can also be part, depending on how old they are, they can be part of the rubric building process, where you can ask them, what do you think a 3 is? What do you think a 4 is? Well, what happens if you don't meet it? Like, what does that look like? And so it makes them really take ownership of their work and also their assessment, which is really actually kind of cool. So something I'm noticing as I continue this journey in becoming a teacher is, that this chapter mentioned, is the formative assessments where teachers go around and take notes while students are doing works. Because I didn't really notice this as a student. I know, like, I got the tests and the projects and all that stuff. And I also didn't notice it when I was in practicum. I never, like, went around and took notes on the students and, like, marked their progress on how they were doing. Another thing that helps when you're doing the formative assessment is to actually sit the kids down for an interview and ask them questions like, what was the process you used to get here? How did you think of this process? What was your math thinking? So I see you did this and this. Can you tell me if that makes sense? Stuff like that. So you sit them down for an interview and you have this conversation with them on their math work, and you really get to see more than just the formative assessment where they're at, because you're sitting one student down and you're actually having a conversation with them rather than just walking around and seeing what's going on when they're doing the work. So it's kind of like a more in-depth formative assessment, which I think is really neat, and I'd like to try when I get a classroom because I think it's cool. And so that's the chapter on assessment. And check back, not tomorrow, but on Wednesday, and a new one will be up because apparently I messed up my vlogs, so I need to do another one this week. So see you Wednesday!